How many times have you asked yourself how to find enthusiasm again? How many times have you felt disheartened, lacking energy, as if life had lost its flavor? What if we told you that there is an ancient path traced by wise Buddhist monks that can guide you towards the rediscovery of joy and passion? In this video, thanks to a Zen story full of wisdom, you will discover 7 Buddhist lessons that will help you find enthusiasm in life again. It will be an exciting journey in which we will lead you by the hand towards a spiritual and motivational journey that will make you smile again. And if you stay until the end, we'll tell you a secret that will help you keep the flame of enthusiasm alive in your heart. But before continuing, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to be informed when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. In a remote corner of Japan, nestled among the green hills and surrounded by lush Zen gardens, stands an ancient Buddhist temple. In this sacred place, the elderly and wise monk Kinto, revered for his profound wisdom and compassion, spends his days in meditation and prayer. One day, a group of pilgrims from every corner of the country came to the temple, attracted by the fame of the monk Kinto. Their desire was to listen to the teachings of this man who was as elderly as he was full of life. Among them was Hana, a young woman with a restless heart, tormented by doubts and dissatisfaction. Taro, a middle-aged businessman oppressed by the weight of responsibilities and the fear of failure. And Akiko, an elderly lady who had lost the joy of living after her husband's death. Kinto, with his benevolent smile and eyes shining with wisdom, warmly welcomed the pilgrims and invited them to sit in a circle in the Zen garden. The afternoon sun filtered through the leaves of the trees, creating an atmosphere of peace and serenity. The petals of the lotus flowers opened delicately, revealing their golden hearts, while the sweet sound of the water flowing in the nearby fountain invited meditation. Dear pilgrims, Kinto began in a deep, warm voice. I am honored to have you here today and to be able to share with you some Buddhist teachings that can help you find enthusiasm, joy, and serenity in life. Often, we allow ourselves to be overwhelmed by the worries, stress, and frenzy of everyday life, forgetting to appreciate the beauty and joy that surround us. We get lost in the search for external satisfaction, chasing material goals and forgetting to nourish our soul. But true enthusiasm and happiness do not lie in material things or worldly successes. They arise from our connection with the present moment, from our ability to appreciate the little things. And again, from our gratitude for what we have and from our compassion towards ourselves and towards others. While the pilgrims, after hearing the monk's first words, began to feel more at ease and more serene, Kinto continued, "Today, I would like to share with you 7 Buddhist lessons that can help you regain enthusiasm in life and live in a more conscious, peaceful, and fulfilling way." The pilgrims listened attentively, enraptured by the words of the wise monk. Kinto, with his warm and enveloping voice, began to expound the 7 Buddhist lessons. Awareness of the present moment was the first lesson. Live in the here and now, without regrets about the past or anxiety about the future, said the master. When we eat, we savor every bite as if it were the last, savoring the texture of the food and its fragrance, the freshness of the ingredients, and the warmth they instill in us. When we walk, we feel the contact of our feet with the earth, the wind caressing our faces, the sense of nature, and the singing of birds. When we talk to someone, we truly listen to the other, looking into their eyes and perceiving their emotions. We welcome his words with an open mind and a compassionate heart, without passing judgment and without thinking we know more than him. In this way, our mind calms down, our heart opens, and we can appreciate the beauty of every single moment. Kinto told the story of a samurai who, before each battle, stopped to contemplate the beauty of a cherry blossom, thus reminding himself of the preciousness of life and the importance of living every moment to the fullest. Acceptance was Kinto's second lesson. Embrace reality as it is, without judgment or resistance, he said with a smile. Life is a continuous change, a constant flow of experiences, a succession of joys and sorrows, of successes and failures. Accepting what happens, whether pleasant or unpleasant, allows us to free ourselves from the suffering caused by resistance and find inner peace. Like a tree that bends in the wind without breaking, we too can learn to adapt to circumstances and find strength in flexibility. Kinto told the parable of the farmer who, after a storm that destroyed his crop, did not despair but accepted the situation. In doing so, he immediately set to work to rebuild, with the confidence that nature would regenerate his land. And it was exactly like that. Gratitude is another fundamental aspect that I want to talk to you about, continued the elderly and wise monk. Let's appreciate what we have instead of focusing on what we're missing. And every day, let's take time to reflect on the blessings that life has given us. Think about health, family, friends, nature, the food we eat, and again, to the air we breathe, to the roof over our heads, to the love we feel, and that is felt for us. You must know that gratitude opens our hearts to joy and abundance. It allows us to see the world with new eyes, and to appreciate every little miracle, like the smile of a child or the song of a nightingale. Kinto reminded the pilgrims of the story of a monk who, despite having lost everything in a fire, was grateful for still being alive and for having the opportunity to start again, to rebuild his life from the ashes. The pilgrims were increasingly engaged by their mentor's words. The emotions they felt were strong, like the hope of finding their lost inner peace again. Compassion is another indispensable pillar to regain enthusiasm in life. Kinto continued, being kind to ourselves and others, forgiving mistakes and understanding weaknesses, allows us to let go of pain and resentment. We all make mistakes. We all have weaknesses. Instead of judging and criticizing ourselves, we learn to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding as we would a dear friend. And then we extend this same compassion to others, remembering that they too are struggling with their own challenges and difficulties, that they too need love and support. Kinto told the story of a man who, after having suffered a wrong, instead of taking revenge, chose to forgive and offer help to those who had harmed him, thus transforming resentment into friendship. Detachment was another lesson the monk focused on. Freeing ourselves from attachment to material things and negative emotions, he said, becomes fundamental in our spiritual journey. Remember that attachment is the root of suffering. When we cling to something or someone, we suffer when we lose it. Therefore, let's learn to let go of what no longer serves us, or who no longer wants to be by our side. And we learn to free ourselves from negative emotions such as anger, envy, and hatred, which poison our hearts and minds. In this way, we can live more freely and serenely, like a bird flying high in the sky, without ties that hold it back. Kinto spoke of a rich merchant who, after losing all his riches in a shipwreck, discovered true happiness in simplicity and freedom, living like a hermit in a forest. Generosity, Kinto continued, is the other piece I want to talk to you about. Remember to give your time, your resources, and your love to others. Generosity is an act of love that enriches both those who give and those who receive, an act that allows us to leave negative emotions aside and open ourselves to joy. When we help others, we experience the joy of making a difference in someone's life, of bringing a ray of light into their darkness. Generosity opens our hearts to gratitude and happiness. I remember a woman who, despite having little, always shared her food with those in need, finding joy in giving and seeing the smiles on their faces. Wisdom was another aspect that Kinto wanted to talk about to the pilgrims who came to visit him. Cultivating knowledge, understanding, and the ability to discern, he said, becomes fundamental if we want to find serenity. Wisdom, in fact, allows us to see things in their true nature, to understand the causes of suffering, and to find the path to happiness. We study, we meditate, we reflect on our experiences. We seek the guidance of wise masters and learn from their teachings, but above all, we learn from life itself, which is the greatest teacher. Kinto told the story of a king who, after consulting many wise men, understood that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in wisdom and virtue, in love and compassion. The pilgrims listened attentively, absorbing every word like a sponge. Kinto's words resonated deep within their hearts, awakening a new awareness within them. And at the end of the meeting, the pilgrims felt transformed. They had found new hope, a new direction. Thus, they thanked Kinto for his valuable teachings and promised to put them into practice in their daily lives. As they walked away from the temple, they looked back and saw Kinto waving at them with a serene smile. They knew they would never forget that encounter, and that the monk's lessons would continue to guide them on their path to happiness and fulfillment. But before the last pilgrim passed through the temple gate, Kinto called them back with a wave of his hand. "Remember, dear friends," he said in a warm, deep voice, "that the secret to keeping the flame of enthusiasm alive in your heart is simple. Never stop learning, never stopping growing, never stopping exploring. Every day, look for something new to learn, a new experience to have, a new person to meet. Embrace change, challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone. In this way, your life will always be full of enthusiasm, joy, and wonder." The pilgrims nodded, deeply moved. They knew that Kinto's words were a precious gift, a beacon that would illuminate their path. And so, with hearts full of gratitude and minds open to wisdom, they headed home, ready to live a life full of enthusiasm and meaning.